Welcome to this Google BigQuery introductory video. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to be walking you through what Google BigQuery is, to setting up your first project in Google BigQuery. I'll be walking you through understanding the basics of BigQuery and running your first query, starting with what is Google BigQuery. So Google sells BigQuery as an autonomous data to AI platform, automating the entire data lifecycle from ingestion to AI-driven insights. Really, what BigQuery is, at the simplest form, is BigQuery is a data warehouse meant for storing and processing large volumes of data, and that's the most basic use of BigQuery. It recently adopted AI into BigQuery, which allows using some AI features within BigQuery. The most common use case of BigQuery as a data warehouse is using it to centralize large volumes of data from various sources and transforming this data within BigQuery. Now, what are the benefits of using BigQuery? First benefit is it allows for centralizing data from various sources and having a unified platform to analyze large volumes of data. The second benefit is BigQuery uses a serverless architecture, which simply means it's very easy to use and to manage with no extra overhead or technical debt. That simply means it's easy to use by data engineers, data scientists, and even data analysts without the need of managing any technical infrastructure. And the third benefit to using Google BigQuery is it's free for most parts and has an affordable pricing model. What is the pricing on Google BigQuery? BigQuery has two major pricing resources, one for compute and the other for storage. Compute simply means the cost for every query that is run in your data warehouse, and for storage simply means the cost for storing data in your BigQuery data warehouse. And the cost is really simple. Google BigQuery already gives users a free 10 gig storage for their data. So once you set up your account, you get a free 10 gig storage, and as long as your data doesn't exceed 10 gig, you do not get charged. For your compute, Google BigQuery gives a terabyte worth of compute monthly, which is generous enough for single users and small teams to run a lot of query and analysis in Google BigQuery. So to get started with Google BigQuery, you want to head over to Google Cloud Console. And within the Cloud Console platform is where BigQuery is. So you want to click on BigQuery. If you don't have a cloud platform, a Google Cloud Platform account, you want to create a cloud platform account. Now, I already have mine created, so I wouldn't be able to go through the process of creating another account, but it's a very straightforward process. One thing to note is while creating your account, you will be asked to put in your card for billing. So don't be worried, you wouldn't get billed because you would still be on the free tier, and as long as your queries and your storage do not cross the free tier, you would not be billed. So once you're done creating your Cloud Console account, you'll be taken straight to the Cloud Console itself. The first thing you would see is most likely a screen like this, and it will definitely prompt you to set up a project. If it doesn't prompt you to set up a project, you would want to click over at this bar here, and this is where you get to create your first project. So that is the first thing we do before doing any other thing in your Cloud Console. So you want to click on new project here and create a new project. So we are simply going to call this my new project. Now, if BigQuery has already created a sample project for you, you can also still go ahead and create a project. Now, while creating your account, if you chose individual, then you would not need to select an organization here. So we can create. So our project has been created, and we want to click over here again so that we can select that project. So you can see here my new project, and then once you select on it, your project will be loaded. Now that we are here, you will see a number of solutions provided by Google Cloud, but you don't need everything. The only thing that is of our interest here is BigQuery. So if this is not here, you can also go to the nav bar here and search for BigQuery over here. So once you go to BigQuery, you just click on the studio. Once you're on the studio, you're directed to a page like this, and definitely you wouldn't have any item listed here. So the next thing you want to do is over here, this is your project ID. So you will see this, and then if you click here, you will see all the items under your Google BigQuery project ID. You want to click here, Explorer, which is easier to make use of. So under Explorer, you will see your project ID, and then the most important thing here for a start is datasets. Once you click on datasets, you will definitely have no data set created inside your project. Now we can create a data set here. Once you click on create a data set, you want to put in the name, you want to give your data set a name and then a location. So we'll simply give it sample data set. For location, we can simply use US and create a data set. Then you refresh and you will see your sample data sets created here. For clarity, a data set in BigQuery is simply just a container for all your data, a structured or organized container for all your data. You can have multiple data sets within your project. And if you click on data sets, the next thing inside your data set is going to be tables. So inside data sets, you have tables. Now we also don't have any table inside here. I'm going to show you how to create a table by importing a file from your local PC. Click on here, create a table. And then from source, it will say create a table from an empty table. Now we want to select upload, which will upload the file from your local PC. And then here you want to select that particular file as you want uploaded to create your table. Once that file is selected, you want to make sure it is the appropriate file format. And then your destination is your BigQuery project. Your data set is your sample data set which you created. And then your table is going to be the name of the table that you want. So you can call this other items. So you would want to click on auto detect schema and create table. So our table has loaded and we can refresh and we would see our table inside our data set. Up here, you can see we are inside our sample data set. And if you want to go back to the list of your data sets, you can click on data set and every other data set you have here will be listed. Over here, you can create a query tab to run SQL queries within here. If we go back to our data sets and go into our sample data set, then click on table. So within our table, we can see our schema and we can see other ID, other items ID, and the rest of the values. So inside our table, we can also see details. The detail will show you the details of that particular table. So here's your project ID, and here is when it was created and last modified. So table expiration, you can configure your table expiration to expire either after 60 days, 90 days, or within a time limit. Now it is configured as never. Now, if when creating your Google account, if you didn't enable billing, this will be automatically reset to 60 days. So after 60 days, your account, your table will be deleted. Over here, you can see a summary of the number of rows and your logical storage. So I've already taken 14 MB of our allocated storage. Preview allows us to have a sneak peek into what our data is like. Now, Table Explorer simply takes you to the SQL tab to write out queries. So here you will see it gives us a template query as select star from your project. Now, what this simply means is select all columns from your project from your table. The order here goes as your project ID, your project ID, your data set, and your table. That's the order in which BigQuery accesses the data in your table. If we run this, we can see it gives us the results of our query. If you scroll down back and we decide you don't want to run everything, let's return only a few handful of columns. So we can click order ID and price. So once you put in this, it will give you the amount of data that this query costs. So here it says this query will process 4.5 MB when run. So when we click on run, we get our results. Now down here, the only few important things we can see here is the results, which gives us what we queried, and then we can look at it in a JSON format. If you're familiar with JSON, you can check it out in the JSON format. Over here, you can also see save results. You can save it to CSV, which will be saved into your local PC as a CSV file. You can upload it to Google Sheets and you can upload it to Google Cloud Storage. Over here, you have Open In. So in here, you can open it directly in Google Sheets and you can also open it in Google Looker Studio. So that's how to run queries in BigQuery. I hope you were able to understand Google BigQuery a bit more better now. And if you're interested in more detailed videos on Google BigQuery, you can subscribe and leave a like on the video.